In the midst of understanding the aspect of 30 days to the month. And now we understand because the each month is governed by 3 sections, and each section, meaning right column, left column, or central column, each one has its opportunity to express itself. So the first 10 days is the expression of chasadim. It's like water. Water seeks its own level. What does it mean? It goes out. It extends, manifests itself. That's the first 10 days. And because that power is contained within the cosmos, is why do we get the illusion, and we'll even call it an illusion, that the moon is ascending? That illusion comes about because of a cosmic force known as chasadim, extending chesed, the right kind of pole. That's why it says that. We said this: the middle 10 days is central column. Now, what does central column mean? It takes together right and left. Now, even the physicist still is probing the neutron. What is the purpose of the neutron? He doesn't know. But we know it means central column. It is that force of restriction that brings together the 2 poles. It's like the filament in a bulb. It's that simple. The simplicity, I'm amazed that they can't think of something like that. When all they have to do is observe the bulb. And in the bulb, you see that without the filament, without that force of restriction, you can't make circuitry. You can't bring the positive and the negative poles together into a circuit of energy. The last 10 days, and that is why there is this descent, together with from the 15th to the 20th, is because within the central column there are 2 parts. If it joins and merges positive and left, it means it by and within itself consists of these 2 aspects of right and left. It could not merge right and left. In other words, what is central column? What is the filament? It has the potential of right and left within itself, and therefore within itself it is already merged, and therefore it can do the process of merging. If it didn't contain right and left within its own characteristic, it could not merge. You can't share. You can't manifest anything if you don't have that which you want to make manifest. So it must inevitably consist, that neutron, of right and left, and therefore it merges. Now the first 5 days of the central column, meaning from 11 to 15, and that's why it still ascends. So says the Zohar that these 5 days consist of the right column energy intelligence of the central column. Am I getting confused? No. Okay? Therefore, it still continues to rise. Now, what happens? Why does it start going down? Why should it go down? Without the Zohar, there is no answer anywhere to find the reason why it goes down. Now, you can say it goes down because it starts to move in a certain direction where it's moving away from the effect of the sun, and so we don't see it, and so forth and so on. But we know that thought, energy, intelligence must precede the effect. The effect doesn't come by itself. Nothing comes by itself. No one builds a building unless he prepares and thoroughly and is carefully planning the way this building should be built. Same thing here. What is happening? When the 15th day comes, there is a merging of complete unity between the sun and the moon. What does that indicate to us? That the moon is now capturing the full intensity of the sun. That's why it's completely lit up. Not because it's in a position that it now faces the sun totally, right? And therefore, to us, we see a full moon. That would be a physicist's way of understanding. We say that the reason that it is in that position is to indicate what's going on in the cosmos. What is going on? Total fulfillment. A total merging of sun and moon. Total merging. And that's what brings about the moon to appear as a full moon. Does everyone understand what came first? The chicken or the egg? We say that because there is a total merging of right and left on the 15th day, therefore that brought about the moon to be in its position with the sun, so we observe it as a full moon, but not by chance it happens to appear as a full moon. There is an internal cosmic force that brought about that appearance. That means on the 15th day, there's a total merger. Therefore, when the Talmud says, we'll explain why it goes down shortly, but when the Talmud says that you read the Megillah not before, remember we said, it says, lo pachot velo yoter, it doesn't say not before and not after, because he's talking about energies. He's saying if you have less than chasadim of the 10 days, you don't have a positive pole established. If you read it on the 9th day, you would have an incomplete source of energy to draw from. Therefore it says, lo pachot, not less. It doesn't say before, not less, because he wants to indicate to us we're not talking about religiosity. Don't read it before, don't read it after. Halakha. That's not what the Talmud is telling you here. The Talmud is trying to teach you energies in the cosmos that the naked eye can't read. We can't see it, you can't feel it, you can't touch it. How do I know what's going on? So the Talmud says, not before, not less, because if you have less than 10 days, you don't have the establishment of poles that produce energy. Afterwards, it says, velo yoter. What does it mean, lo yoter? It's not there. There is no more there. Remember, we asked, why shouldn't it say you're not permitted to read the Megillah after the 15th day? It doesn't say that. Lo pachot velo yoter. Not more. Why? Because the Zohar again tells us, why does that moon appear as if it's going down? Is it an illusion? It could be an illusion. The Zohar says no. It's to indicate to us what's going on in the cosmos. What is going on in the cosmos? On the 15th day, says the Zohar, the Death Star fleet comes in to also join in the party. If the 15th day means that there is a total circuitry of energy, that's indicated by full moon. The full moon tells me what's going on in the cosmos. What's going on? Total circuitry. Total circuitry. Total circuitry, that's the time to draw energy. That's why Sukkot begins on the 15th day, and that's why Pesach begins on the 15th day. Not because the Jews went out on the 15th day of Pesach, the 15th day of Nisan, 15th day that the Exodus took place. We in Kabbalah ask, why did the Exodus take place on that day? Not because we are not traditionalists. We are fundamentalists. What do you mean fundamentalists? We are looking from where it all started. Where did it start from? Because the 15th day is a totality of energy, a circuit of energy, and that's why the Jew was told to leave this day. He says, if you can tap that kind of energy, the Egyptians have no control. That's why the Exodus took place. But not we here today celebrate Pesach. Why? Because they had an Exodus. What does that do for me? Here, all of a sudden, the Jew is not greedy. He says, what is it doing for me? Right? Well, you might say maybe that's why 80% of Jews do not observe Passover anymore, because just because they had an Exodus, I'm still imprisoned. Whether I'm in prison or whether I'm imprisoned in thoughts in my life is creating a prison for me. I'm not free. The answer is no. If you know how to tap that positive energy that floats on the 15th day, you'll acquire freedom. Meaning now, today, not what happened once before, but for today. The whole subject of Pesach is only a method by which we can connect to that awesome power called the 15th day of the month. Why? In Nisan, that already you can find in the Kabbalah connection. I'm not going into that. But the 15th day is a powerful day because it means total connection of circuitry of energy. Therefore, when that event takes place, the Sitra Achra, or the Dark Lord, smells, hey, energy is floating around. He wants it too. He wants it too. And so you know what happens? At that moment, he comes a minute later, you see. For the Jew who knows that the minute it comes, it's there, it takes him a little time to get the message. Then he also wants to draw from that energy. And realizing that if the Sitra Achra, or the Death Star fleet, as it is mentioned in the Zohar in different ways, if they had the opportunity to draw that same energy that we can draw on the 15th day, they would rule the world. And so what does he do? He immediately suspends the circuitry. If you caught it on the 15th day, good. You didn't catch it, too bad. Too bad. The 16th day, it totally disappears. So you might ask, if there's no more energy, how come the moon still appears as if it's lit up, right? Right? Mm-hmm. If what the Zohar is saying, to explain away the Gemara, why does the Gemara say velo yoter? He's saying there's no more. Velo yoter, finished. You know what it means? Lo yoter in Hebrew means what? After that, forget it. No more left. That's why the Gemara says lo yoter. Remember we asked, why shouldn't it say, but not after? It says lo yoter. It's giving us a message, a cosmic message, that on the 16th day, no more here. You can tap all you want, and that's why we don't make weddings after the 15th day. That's why you shouldn't begin a business after the 15th day of the month. Many other beginnings, because there is no circuitry. So you'll ask me, how come the moon still appears as if it's going on with that energy? But to put it crudely, have you ever seen a chicken without a head? Does it move? Still moves, right? Would you say the chicken is alive? Something goes on. In other words, there's an extensive energy. Have you ever closed the radio? Do you hear the sound after the radio's closed? Right? Close your television. Still something there. How come you closed it? It should have ceased. So something goes on. I don't want to explain that because that we discuss in the morning. A full explanation for it. But in any event, the fact that there is continuity is an illusion. But it also teaches us something else. That in the realm of where most of us live, we think it stops with me, right? Now, when I close the radio, I close the television. Did I close the broadcasting station? A lot of us could think so. I mean, if the broadcasting station was still on, don't you see, I can close him out, and I finished him. There are some people that can get that ego established within him, and he stopped the broadcast, right? No. Things go on with or without us. But because this illusion creates, for us, a position that we are in, and we are in control. Unfortunately, we are not in control. Things stop. And therefore, we do not read the Megillah after the 15th day because that energy is not there. It has ceased. The fact that it still appears as if the moon has light, it's an illusion. It's an absolute illusion. There is no energy, but it's the continuance. Because does that mean circuitry has ended? No, there's another level of reality. Remember we discussed, what is the bet? The bet connects you to the realm of reality, not to the world of illusion. There are two worlds we live in all the time. The one of illusion and the one of reality. The one who lives in illusion lives in uncertainty. The one who can, step up into the world of reality through the bet, there is no problems. Everything still continues. It's like the broadcast station still putting out its information. It hasn't stopped. But where is that? Where is that? If you can connect to that station without a television set, you would be connected. Does it mean the only way we can connect is with a television station? The answer is no. We can connect to that television. You say, well, this would be a miracle. I assure you, And that we discussed in the morning, how in effect, all of us can be connected to that television station with or without the set. All right? We validated that in the morning, so I don't want to go into it. But in any event, this is what the Gemara, that's a beautiful piece of Talmud. If you study Talmud that way, believe me, it would be very interesting. Very interesting. If you learn Talmud as it is, then how many people are left learning Talmud every day? They may be discussing how important it is to study Talmud every day, but I don't know how many people devote that much time to the study of Talmud. All right? Therefore, the important aspect of Purim and why it was of such an intense holiday is because there was an immediate Megillat Esther. There was an immediate revelation of concealment. An immediate revelation. That's why it's called Megillat Esther, the revelation of concealment. Again, we said, what is uncertainty? Because tomorrow, that's right. Because tomorrow, I don't know. What's uncertainty? I don't know what'll be tomorrow. That creates lack, deficiency, depression. Every negative quality that exists in this universe comes about for only one word. Look how we've created one word to cover everything that is negative. Uncertainty. Look how the Kabbalist has brought it down. Rather than talk about lack, deficiency, defects, needs, wants, he says one thing. Remove the word uncertainty, and you have everything. Everything. That's what happened on Purim, and that's why when the Gemara, as well as the Zohar, says that no holidays will remain after Mashiach comes. What does Mashiach mean? So we've discussed this many a time. Some people wonder if Mashiach comes, does it mean I got to get rid of my jag? You know what I mean? Does it mean I have no more job? Or, what does it, It's not even that simple to think that we all want Mashiach. What does it mean? In effect, and in a word, it means the removal of uncertainty. That's Mashiach. The removal of uncertainty, and that's what happened on Purim. Revelation. Revelation meaning that tomorrow it's all revealed for me. So what lack can I possibly have? Because on that level, there are no lacks. In the level of reality, there is no lack. The lack only exists where uncertainty exists.
Therefore, they didn't die. Therefore,
it was an illusion.
So that
would fit in. That's right. That's right. That it fits in beautifully. That's right. Okay.
I want to ask you something. What is wrong with uncertainty? I mean, why is that?
It creates needs, lacks, defects.
Does it?
Well, unless you have no needs, But you know what they say about the person who has no needs? He's the one who's ready for the burial grounds. The minhag, the custom to open up a dead man's palm. You know why that custom originated? Because that's the only time you have no desires to receive, when you're dead. See, so they open up the palm. But before that, unless you have found, or you're an individual who is super. What?
I like uncertainty.
You like uncertainty.
Yeah.
Then it gives you a great deal of pleasure. However, let's say for most of us, we would rather do without it, I would think. I mean, if anybody's in the stock market, let's say everyone is somewhere, he would like to know about tomorrow. I think. You wouldn't want to know about tomorrow.
Not always. No.
Not always, only sometimes. Well, then again, you don't like uncertainty all the time. Right? No. I think she's answered her own statement. She said sometimes. Already when you say sometimes, it means, today I have no needs, so I can live with uncertainty. Tomorrow But that is the ping pong ball, you see. Then you're even worse. You're even worse than the one who's in a constant uncertainty. Now you're going like a ping pong ball. You ever see the heads, people watching a ping pong tournament, right? See, that could be in a way worse, right? Okay?
It's
all right.
Yes and the no that you always explain to us.
That's
you
right.
ask a question, yes and no.
That's right.
It's not yes.
Yes. That's what drove him away. He couldn't handle the yes and no all the time. I just let out a secret. Okay.
People like surprises too.
What?
Some people like surprises.
Some people like surprises. The only surprises they like is when you surprise them with a gift. I don't know about the surprises that you're not happy with. Right?
We had somebody find out a surprise this morning,
Sure.
right?
That's
In
right.
Treasury.
That's
some
right.
Surprise.
Sure. All right. Okay. Some surprises are good, but some surprises aren't. Okay, now, following through with this thought, we've been discussing Amalek. And the Haftorah. That means a portion that is found in the prophets is also read together with this Parshat Zachor that we have been discussing. And there we find a discussion, that which is going to be read on the Shabbat, in the Haftorah before Purim. It says there where Shaul HaMelech, King Saul, was told by Samuel the prophet that he should go and destroy Amalek at kalotam otam, until the very end, till the end. Do not leave anyone alive. No one. What does it say? Vayitpos et Agag melech Amalek chai. He destroyed everybody else. And he permitted Agag, the king of Melech Amalek, which incidentally, if in Greek, the word Agag means mine. Beautiful. Mechemet Gog uMagog really is talking about mine wars. That's going to be the ultimate war. That is the war, or that is the way we can deal with straightening out our own lives, is depending where your head is. Not where the situation is, where your head is. Everything depends on your head, unless some of us feel that we do things without thinking, and that's the way we get things done. But for most people, you've got to prepare. You've got to think things through. All right? So here he's told to wipe out everybody. And then, Vayachmo Shaul va'am al Agag. He began to have pity on Agag, and he brings him back. And so he didn't kill Agag, the king of Amalek. This is a story, but for us, obviously, even the other sections of the Torah are concealed messages. And it says that he came back and he told him what he's done. And Shaul and Shmuel, Prophet Samuel says, look, Lama lo shamata b'kol Hashem. Didn't I tell you that the word of God was destroy the king of Amalek? And Vayoma Shaul El Shmuel, listen to the answer. Saul says to the prophet Samuel, Asher shamati b'kol Hashem. I listened to the voice of God. You listened to the voice of God. Samuel, the prophet Samuel, told you before you went out to war with Amalek, destroy everyone, including the king of Amalek. Here he brings him back in front of everybody, no illusion. There he was, the king of Amalek. And he says, why didn't you destroy him? And he looks at him, he says, didn't God say destroy him? He says, yes, I listened to the word of God. Now, was King Saul, trying to play a game, or maybe tells Samuel, that's not Agag, you think it is. It's an illusion. I'll play that game on him, right? Don't magicians play games on us? Right? Saw bodies in half. You've seen all that. Being a tank, right? Illusions. However, again, the Parshat Zachor that we read is connected with what went on here. Where did Haman come from? He came from this genealogy of the king of Amalek. King Saul, and he was anointed, meaning he was instilled with a higher raising of consciousness to the level of prophets. He can see tomorrow. He can see tomorrow. Remember what we discussed about blessings? Even if you saw tomorrow, it may not necessarily be a blessing. It may not necessarily be a blessing. He saw that the story of Purim would have to come about. So when he brought back Agag, and Samuel tells him, why did you bring him back? He says, I did fulfill the commandment of God. Because the commandment of God, and I saw the future, that there would be a Haman, which is in the evolvement of history, and this is God's history. Therefore, I permitted him to be alive, so the story of Haman will become a reality. What does Samuel tell him? No. When you got worried that, you see, Amalek, if you went back to learn in the Parshat Bishalach, there came Amalek. When the Jews went into the uncertainty, right? When they went into uncertainty, then came Amalek. And how did they defeat him? With the 3 columns. That means there's 2 levels of reality. The illusionary level and the reality level. When you saw tomorrow that Haman would be there, it was only going to depend upon whether you, as king, could connect with reality, with Keter, which I won't go into now because he was a king. You had the opportunity to completely cancel out history. Completely cancel out history.
So the prophet saw.
And what you saw in the future, you saw a vision of illusion.
Uncertainty.
Illusion. That was yes and no. Like the physicist says, for every no, it could be yes. That's uncertainty. What do? Do I take this venture? Do I make this step? Yes. And maybe no.
He saw the cassette that
He saw the cassette that would continue had he not removed Agag from the picture. But that he could connect with reality, because reality is what? Will Amalek remain forever? Will evil in this world remain forever? Some people think maybe yes. But all right, we think that Mashiach means that it would be the end of Amalek. It would be the end. So subsequently, if it happens today or it happens tomorrow, it's all part of an illusion, right?
King Saul didn't see the future.
He did see the future.
No, the realistic future.
No.
No, he didn't see.
No.
But the prophet
No.
did see it though.
That's right. That was the word of God.
Right.
What do you mean the word of God? When you're talking about the Yud Kei Vav Kei, we have discussed this time and again. When you connect with the Yud Kei Vav Kei, you are connecting with the world of reality. The world of reality says that Hitler will never die. He'll never come to an end. He said he was building an empire for 1,000 years. Would he live that 1,000 years? Let's be realistic. Would he live 1,000 years?
No, of course not.
Was there something that happened in the last 5,000 years that guaranteed a kingdom for 1,000 years? He was an Israeli. Al smach ma, would he build a future of 1,000 years? He said he was building a 1,000-year kingdom. That's what he set out to do. Yeah. Would last 1,000 years. I say he was an Israeli because I would ask him, Al smach ma, on what basis? Has there ever been a kingdom that lasted more than 400 years, 500 years, but not 1,000? Why would he assume that it did? An illusion. So people can have this kind of illusion because ultimately he would die. Ultimately, negativity, on the contrary, has always been obliterated. Throughout history, beginning from day one, if there was evil in the world, ultimately that evil disappeared, and along came some new form of government. They became corrupt, and it starts over again. So it's constant. But nothing ever lasts. Nothing ever lasts. So when Shaul came back and said, but I saw the picture of Haman, I saw the future, but would that mean it was eternal? There would always be an Amalek? No, the end is going to be that there will not be Amalek. Amalek means what? Illusion. Illusion. That's why it says when the Jew was im yesh or ayin, who came? Amalek came. What does Amalek resemble?
Uncertainty.
Uncertainty. You have fallen down to the realm of illusion. And there, that's worse than death. Worse than death. Because supposedly at least death puts an end to most misery, so we think.
Are you saying then that negativity is really illusion?
Shaul, to end the illusion,
That's
and
right.
to end the uncertainty,
Gave him-
and
that's
yet
right.
as far as he was the king and he still didn't want, he was still in uncertainty, he was living still in illusion.
That's right. He remained in
Because
that.
of him. What about all the people in Persia at the time, their actions that brought this whole thing on?
Over there, there was Megillat Esther. You've got a code word. There, what happened? What was the real miracle? And why? And I didn't complete the statement of the Gemara and the Zohar, that it says everything, we've discussed this once before, everything is going to come to an end. Even this Torah. The Torah, with all of its precepts, when Mashiach comes to an end. Is this eternal?
No.
If it's eternal, then it's got to last forever. If the Gemara says that when Mashiach comes, there will be no holiday that will be left except Purim, and the Zohar acknowledges that by stating that only Purim will be. What is then all of this about? As Hillel says, it is only a perush. It's a path to bring you, but it is not eternal. This whole Torah that we learn from, it is a path by which we can make connections. By reading a story of the Jew who said, where's water? Im yesh ayin, if the God is with us or he's not with us. It's a code for uncertainty. It's a code for uncertainty. The same uncertainty that existed by Eve when she said, the snake, Hishiani. The snake put in what? What was the curse? Uncertainty. The illusion. That what was the difference between eating from the Etz HaChaim, the tree of life, or eating from the tree of knowledge, good and evil? Was good and evil bad? I'll choose the good part. No. Good and evil represents illusion. They cannot be good and evil. Evil is an illusion. Good is an illusion when it's connected with evil. So the market is going up, it could also be bad. It's going down, it could also be bad. So where you have good and bad, good and evil, you only have illusion. What happened when they asked that question of uncertainty? Immediately it says in the Torah, Vayavo Amalek. Then comes your problems. With uncertainty, you have your problem. How can you overcome Amalek? Yes. That was a story, a brief story of Moshe with Hur and Aharon, right? A story. That's the secret of the bet. I call it the super force. It is a super force. If you know how to connect with that bet, and it is simple. Maybe it is not simple to achieve a constant restriction and imparting. That may be a little difficult. But if you connect with imparting and you connect with sharing, you're connected with the bet. When you're connected with the bet, you are connected with blessing. Blessing means only one word, certainty. There is no such animal as blessing, because blessing is good and blessing is bad. There is one time when blessing is a true blessing, when there is certainty. When tomorrow is not going to affect me and change what is today, because tomorrow is today and today is tomorrow. Therefore, he could have changed everything at that moment, the same way as Moshe, Aaron, and Hur changed everything that was about Purim. Therefore,
What about the fact that he didn't? Doesn't that make a statement that almost like it couldn't have happened any other way?
No,
Even though we know that it could have, but it didn't.
he would not have been punished. He would not have had the kingdom, the Malchut removed from him.
But it's written in there that he would.
That what?
That this is the
Nope.
choice he would take.
No. In fact, not only did he have a free will to change the cassette, because in the morning we have already resolved the problem of determinism and free will. That's a problem that the scientist is going to die with. We have no problem of free will and determinism. Determinism, is everything planned out? Yes. Which realm? The reality realm. The illusionary realm is where free will exists. Yes and no, good and evil. Once you have mastered that illusionary level by restriction, the 3-column system that is expressed, the bet. It's the bet that was expressed in that little section after when it says Vayavo Amalek. What is being expressed? Moshe, Aaron, V'chur. What is expressed? The connection to the bet. At that moment, when you are connected with the bet, everything is already determined. What is determined? Everything is good. No evil. Free will is when we are placed in the realm of illusion to choose. Now here Shmuel told him, kill him. What? Why did he? You learned this morning. What happens when we get a flash? You get a flash. Beautiful flash. This is what I'm going to do. A new business, a new venture. I get a flash. Just found a girl that I know I'm going to marry. Beautiful. Convinced this is my lifetime partner. What happens? How do you kill it? Get married. All of a sudden, it's not the best. It's not my saying. It's the best way to kill a romance is to get married. It's not original. Because the truth of the matter, everyone gets married. And that romance, it's just flying high. 2 days later, or a week later, or maybe even under the chuppah, as I heard the other day, it all breaks up. Here's a 2-year romance that breaks up in a second. How is that possible? How is that possible? It is because these people are not connected to the realm of reality. They must have free will. But if they do not connect with that bet, with the world of reality, then today is one thing and tomorrow is another. That must exist. The world of illusion must exist because that is the framework of reference that we operate insofar as free will is concerned. But once you touch the realm of reality, you are there with certainty that everything is good. That's why it's called the world of certainty. Everything is going to be good.
But if this is not a history book, if this was written before history,
it's not a
was
history
made,
book.
Obviously, we
No,
agree.
no.
This was written before history.
Yes.
Therefore, it says there what history is going to be.
It only gives you 2 realms. Everything written in the Bible tells you yes and no.
But it says that he was not going to kill him.
Yes. On which realm?
On the illusionary level.
That is uncertainty. Once you have injected the realm of... So in other
words,
book does not deal with reality.
Because if
The
there
letters-
is reality, you don't need this book anymore.
the
That
letters
is correct.
could move.
And that's why it says that the Torah will disappear.
Is that fair?
So if he would have killed him, the Torah would have disappeared right there and then.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's right.
And it wouldn't have been written.
If the Jews had not made the golden calf, it would have been all over. So how come the Torah still continues? In fact, the Zohar asks that question. It says, Adam ki yamud bo'el. The Torah was created before the creation of this illusionary world. It already says that man will die. But we know that the only way that death came to man is because Adam sinned. That means that before the world is going to be created, and before Adam is going to be created, he's destined to sin. This is the Zohar's question.
So why did he create him?
So that's what the angels asked of God. Why are you going through this period? And without understanding the limud of what we're learning now, that there are two realms of existence. The realm of illusion, that's this. The realm of illusion. But that realm must be there to provide free will. But when everything is already planned, there's only one thing that's planned. You say the illusion is planned? You've already said illusion is uncertainty. So how can it be planned? It contradicts the very essence of it's already planned. It's beautiful. But when you're dealing with the realm of reality, it's all planned. It's all determined.
It's all revealed.
It's all determined.
So Purim would have happened if at that time, if Shemuel had.
That's right.
That's right. Exactly.
Now, can I try and
That's
make a
why
point?
it's called Megillat Esther.
Yeah.
The revelation of concealment. There were no secrets, no uncertainty.
Why Esther is with an aleph, not with a hey? Because usually Esther in Hebrew it means
Last year.
nigla.
Seter. The shoresh of the word, the origin of the word is seter. Now, whether it's aleph or hey would have nothing to do with the essence of the word. Now you're asking me why not hey, Megillat Hester. Her name should have been Hester. All right.
That's Hashem's name. Right?
What's that?
Well, is it?
But would the letters change, or
What's
would
that?
the Torah
The
cancel?
because the reason I'm not going to answer Chaim's question, but it's a good question.
But that's the whole
But-
idea about being coded.
Being
Coded. Otherwise,
I could answer it that way, and I'm going to answer it that way. But there is an answer. Why it says hey and not the aleph? There is an
The
answer.
other way.
Aleph
What's
the
that?
aleph?
I'm sorry. Why the aleph and not the? Because the aleph, if you have to know what the aleph means. Do you know what the aleph means yet? Not yet. When the book comes out on the power of the alphabet, you'll know what the aleph is, and you won't have your question anymore, right? That's the purpose of books, so we don't have to keep asking a million questions. We'll answer. There won't be the need for a teacher. This is all an illusion here. I mean, you think the answers are not. In fact, we're all an illusion. Even the people are going to see it on cassettes.
In the word Esther.
but from time to time we do restrict. What happens then?
I knew that David was being played because we're stressing too much illusion here. Yeah.
But from time to time, and through the history of the Bible, also some people did restrict, and they chose a new cassette. What happened? Why don't we have a different story? I mean, the story continues.
Here's a story of Amalek, the beginning, the first time he made his appearance, right? It says all the Jews said what? It doesn't say 50,000 of the Jews. It says the Jews say, where is the water?
There was no one, not even.
Doesn't
one.
mention it. Doesn't mention it. Doesn't mention it.
But
Not
through
even
life,
you.
when a person.
So you're asking, but then there are some times there are tzaddikim, right?
No, I'm not
So-
even talking about Tzaddikim. I'm talking about the ordinary.
No,
person
I'm saying the ordinary person who
that sometimes he
who does the
sometimes he
restriction.
doesn't restrict.
So you're asking, then what is your essence you're asking? So let the world of illusion end then?
No.
No.
If it's like two levels, one is the illusionary, one is the realistic.
He jumps from one
He jumps from
one
in other words,
access
when
of
he
one
restricts-
program to another.
Okay. He chooses another cassette, which is the realistic.
That's
one,
right. That's
and
right.
then when he gets out of restriction, he goes back into the illusionary.
That's right. How did where's Binyamin?
It's like,
What about
uncertainty.
you jump? How do you boot out from one system to another? No, in computers they have
Reset,
what?
break out of.
Well, anyway, you can jump. You can jump from one program to another directory into another program. That's all.
in music,
Okay.
in music, when you want to go from
Right.
one key to the next, there's a way of going like that. You could be in one key and then shift to another key.
That's
Rav
right.
Berg, you ask a question and you never finish the answer. You say, then why God create the world since you know all the cassette, you know already
Right.
what's going to happen?
That's right. Because of the original bread of shame, we were forced. Not we were forced, but we actually could say we desired a condition and a situation where I could exercise some form of free will so that when I do have the world of reality at my fingertips, it is not bread of shame. So the world of reality is the world which requires effort and work. 3-column system. You know that could be hard. You want to sleep in the morning, and you got to wake up at 5:30 to get here for the study in the morning. That's not easy. Let's face reality, right? That's reality. Want to sleep a little. So, these things happen. But we get up and we fight the normal trend of what the body desires and what the body demands. You fight it. What do you mean you fight it? You overcome it. You restrict the desire of the body, which says, give me a little more rest. You must have that free will to provide us with the opportunity of Megillat Esther, to have the revelation of certainty. Certainty comes to those who work for it. The working for it is as it was established by Moshe, Aaron, and Hur.
It doesn't say in the Bible anywhere the word Purim. It says Yom Kippur.
Right.
Right.
It's already
Yom
included.
Kippur. So,
that's right.
But it's concealed.
That's right.
It's
absolutely concealed. Why is it concealed? Now you know. Because the world of reality for us does not exist. Like for the scientists, the world of atoms did not exist only until 60 years ago, 70 years ago. They were concealed. But that's the real world. That's 99% of the body. It's 99% of a table. That is reality. Atoms are the reality, not the wood. The wood is an illusion, says the scientist. We agree. We live basically in that world of illusion. So what do we want from Purim?
The revelation.
The revelation. We want certainty. That's why when we perform the reading of the Megillah, it has nothing to do with tradition, nothing to do with, this is what you're supposed to do that night. They provided us with a channel, a channel that reveals certainty, removes concealment. Nothing is hidden.
Is that the reason we have disguises?
Unfortunately, that is right. That is right. In other words, that the world of illusion, you mask yourself. That's where the custom. But unfortunately today, that for most Jews, Purim is all that it represents. Is the illusion? You wear the mask, and now already you're conforming with the rules of
no Megillah. Just
what's
Esther.
that?
Just Esther, no Megillah.
Right. No revealing.
Refidim is also uncertainty. Is that what was done?
What's that?
The Jews went to Refidim, and then Amalek came.
Right.
The word Refidim. What is that?
I
I know that.
Yes.
What's
Now,
that?
Refidim. There is a place Refidim in the right. What?
Sinai.
In the Sinai. What does it Refidim? What does Refidim mean? What?
Separation?
Separation. It's a concealment of separation. And ripud. Did you ever hear of the word ripud? What does that mean?
You have to pad.
What? Oh! And you see, I'm not an Israeli, so I don't know Hebrew. But I figured all these Israelis around, someone would have given me the answer.
Oh, you want some more tea?
What does a ripud mean? Padding. Oh, padding, maybe a little concealing there, covering up a little, right? Illusion.
It's all illusion, actually.
That's
The
what
fact that we
that's
hate
what that
illusion.
city, the Fidim, means. Don't go to the Fidim if you're ever visiting the Sinai.
Do you want some more tea?
Yeah, please. All right. So I just want to finish this thought, and then we have time, and then we'll have some questions. Therefore, when Shaul said, "I was kiyamti," that's his words, and he was a prophet. He says, "Kiyamti et dvar Hashem." I fulfilled everything that Hashem wanted, meaning the illusionary cassette was where he was, and what he observed, and therefore he at that moment remained in the realm of illusion, and because he went into this realm of illusion, not in Keta, not in control of our destiny, not in control of his destiny, because at that moment he could have wiped out everything, the same way as Moshe, Aaron, V'chur controlled the war. How? Lifting up hands, lowering hands. I mean, what kind of an effect would that have on winning the war or not winning the war? But there's your answer. Through the 3-column system, they connected to the world of reality. And when you're connected with the world of reality, you're out of uncertainty. When you're out of uncertainty, you have everything that you need. Everything. And for those of us who have already what we need, again, no reason to go to the Bet HaKnesset, no reason to come here to hear the Megillah. There is no reason. If you have jumped and accessed into the realm of reality, things are going great, you have no fears, you are free. You are totally free. There is no need. There is no need to access into the Megillat Esther. All right, we'll leave a few moments for questions if anybody has any questions.
Yeah, is that
You mentioned about the tapping into the circuit. If you don't have a set, so just because we shut it off doesn't mean that the circuit is not going on. So the same way I want to make sure that the analogy is with the moon. So even though after the 15th days it actually is going, but in fact in the reality it doesn't really stop. That's the illusion that it stops.
All right.
So I just want to make sure that
Yes, and furthermore,
Illusionary, it continues, but in reality it stops.
It doesn't
No.
stop.
No, the illusion
No.
it stops.
The illusion.
what does it say? What does it say in the Zohar? That when Mashiach comes, yes, we said it stops. And therefore the Death Star fleet, the Satan, the Sitra Achra, Mavet, death, it's a force. The force of death is a force. I mean, what puts someone to death, chas v'shalom? I mean, a person dies. What do you mean he died? You mean just out of nowhere? No, there's a force rule called even Duma. What?
Vampires.
Yes, all of those things, they are forces of death. They cause what? They cause death. There's a force, an energy intelligence. It's part of the Death Star fleet. If you've seen in some of the late movies, a Death Star fleet. The Death Star fleet exists where? In the world of illusion. In the world of illusion.
Because we never die with it.
Mashiach will come. Is that right? And death will disappear. Does that mean if death will disappear tomorrow, is tomorrow different than today? Only in the illusion is there tomorrow separate from today. Only in the illusion. Only in the illusion. Because as we said, the soul really never dies. It moves from one station to another. When you're in the subway, you're going from one station to another, right? Now, as you're proceeding between stations, it's if you're not at the station, but you're going to get to the station. Is the station there, or will it appear when you get there? So the physicist says,
When you appear,
when you get there,
it's there.
the station is there.
But in our thing, it's not. It's there.
But that's in the world of illusion. The same way it says, as long as you don't observe the chair is not there. What you're saying, Herzl, is right. When we said that the Zohar says that the moon, the cosmos, have stopped furnishing energy to the moon because the minute there's total circuitry, along will come the Death Star fleet, the Satan, the Sitra Achra, and all of his cohorts, and want to join the club. Right? It stops. It stops for them.
in reality it stops, not an illusion.
In the illusion, it stops. And they believe that it stopped. They believe that it stopped, but it's like you closed the television set. Now there's no more broadcasting. And you believe everyone has stopped listening to that program, especially if it's a bad program and you decided that if you know that it's a bad program, everybody stopped listening to it. Would anyone continue to listen if you know that it's bad?
So really,
Right?
for a person who restricts all year round, he doesn't need that anyway. I mean, he taps in all the time.
All the time. all the time, and he never has uncertainty.
But not too much restriction also is no good. If you
This is
restrict, you don't get the energy. So
You don't come often enough, Jonas. You're not coming often enough in the morning. You're letting the world of illusion grab you.
The key word.
The key word. You hear? That's right. I mean, leave me alone. You know, look.
Yeah, but it's also
Doesn't mean I have to let
I
go.
woke him up this
Doesn't mean
morning,
that
he
you
said.
woke him up this morning. Doesn't mean I have to let go.
he woke me up this morning. I said, "What the hell are you doing?"
Right?
Is that what you
Right.
said to me?
No, I didn't.
Rabbi, is that what Hashem
Jack,
Shal was
he did.
for?
Not
What's that?
you, but he did what he had.
That's correct. That's right.
So let me ask you this.
Chelko doesn't mean mine.
No.
Part of the reality realm. Tomorrow is here now. Is Mashiach here now? We discussed that last time. Is he here now?
He is here.
Of course he's here now. The fact that he's not here is an illusion for those who
We
believe he's
didn't
not
turn
here.
on the TV yet.
That's what?
We didn't turn on the TV
Those
yet.
who closed the TV didn't turn it
That's
on
right.
yet. But those who never closed the TV,
So they see Mashiach.
they see it all the time and they're connected with him.
Rav, is the body going to die or not when Mashiach comes?
No, on the
The
contrary.
body will not.
I don't want to go into it, but the Zohar goes so far as to say that all those who died and there was deformities, they are going to rise with all of those deformities, and suddenly they will be cured. What does the Zohar have to go through and tell us that this is the process? What's wrong? I mean, God can't create a miracle. Let's say this guy, Rahman al-Islan, had a hunchback, right? And he died. He lived to a ripe old age of 120 and died. And at Mashiach's time, he's going to be resurrected. Tchiyat HaMetim, right? So the Zohar says he died an old man, but he died with his hunchback, right?
But is he going to come back as an old man?
He comes back just as he appeared when he
It
died.
will get better.
And he should appear with his hunchback. I mean, why is... And then what's going to happen? A minute later,
It's all chozeh.
no. A minute later, he's completely cured.
It's the only way Mashiach will
It's
be
all
revealed.
chozeh.
What's that?
The only way Mashiach will be revealed.
Okay. What does the Zohar want to tell us with that? To recognize that the world was an illusion. The world was an illusion until that
We're
point.
coming back to what we were, and then a minute later, you're coming back.
And a minute later, for him, wow, he died without an arm, Chas v'shalom. A minute later, the arm is there. Wow. Time? You kidding? You thought there was time. There was no
So
such
you really
thing.
can't cremate a body.
That's, yeah, well,
Rabbi
No,
Berg,
that's
you
why we
cannot.
don't.
You cannot cremate a
Rabbi
body
Berg,
then,
we wouldn't have-
because
we wouldn't
if the bodies are not going to die, then the bodies do not die, and if they do
But
not
we
die,
discussed them this morning, a certain little aspect of FM.
Yes.
You got to
that
connect.
does not come down.
We have a computer, don't we?
Rabbi Berg, in that case, if the Mashiach comes, instead of being 4.5 billion in this earth, we're going to be 20 billion in this earth. So where are we going to put all those people?
That's a big problem, right?
Of course. Where is that?
It couldn't be an illusionary problem.
It will be a reality problem.
That's what the Jews said. You see, you're acting out the part. He had Kriyat Yam Suf, right? That was a beautiful question. In fact, I consider it to be the climax of our lecture today. If everybody caught Jonas's question, beautiful. What did the Jews say? But where's the water? There's a problem. One problem.
How's it gonna
There were
make
no
space?
problem. That's the only problem. What did Jonas say? If all these people come back, I mean, there's no room.
He doesn't know
That
they're
becomes
gonna
a
be big.
problem.
Rav, he doesn't know we're going to be big.
That's right. And what he doesn't know is
Come stay with me. I got a studio apartment.
Let him answer. I'm still ready.
God can't make a miracle and make the world a little bigger.
no, he can't do that. He couldn't expand this universe. That, in other words, where it has a circumference of 25,000 miles, I mean, he couldn't extend it to, let's say, 5 billion miles. That would be too difficult for him. That's what the Jews said. He can split the Red Sea. He can do everything. But right now, what did he feel? What did he feel at that moment? But if all these people come in,
Lack.
I'm not going to have I want to have an estate of 2,000 acres, and these guys are going to take it away from me. I think there's a perfect way of completing this session. Perfect. I'm telling you. Oh, had you not raised that question?
That I've got a question.
Yes.
Every soul had many
We have,
bodies.
what's that?
Every soul, had many bodies. I mean, because every soul had been...
There'll be so many bodies.
No, every soul had been resurrected.
Resurrected.
Had been reincarnated reincarnated many times, will all the bodies of that one soul be
No, the last one.
Only the one that accomplishes. Now, there could be one soul could be divided into many. No, a person can come back 1,000 times, and each time he corrects something, that body, he's got a problem. That body is going to be resurrected. There'll be billions and billions. Oh, I'm telling you, no room. I'm telling you now, no room. Okay, all right. Put him some air to everybody.
If somebody's cremated, they never existed.